Hey there everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is an important one, especially if you're a child or heir dealing with the loss of a parent. And yes, while no one wants to think about the inevitable, it's crucial to know what to do when your parents pass away, especially if they didn't leave behind a living trust. So, let's say your parents didn't set up a trust. Can you just pay off their debts and take possession of their assets? Well, not exactly, but don't worry. We'll break it all down in this step-by-step guide so that you know what to do and how to handle this delicate situation properly. And before we get started, if you find this video helpful, do me a big favor, like subscribe and share it with someone who might need this info too. Trust me, they'll thank you. First things first, what happens when a person dies without a trust? In an ideal world, everyone would have a well-organized estate plan, including a living trust, but the reality is that not everyone does. So what does that mean for you, the children or heirs of someone who has passed? Well, without a trust, your parents' estate will likely have to go through a process called probate. Probate is the court-supervised process of distributing a deceased person's assets, paying off debts, and ensuring everything is handled according to the law. So the short answer is, no, you can't just pay off their debts and take possession of their stuff. But don't worry, I'm here to walk you through the next steps so you don't get stuck feeling like you're treading water. Let's dive into it. Let's break down probate so that we're all on the same page. Think of probate as the official process by which the state steps in and helps sort out everything that happens after someone dies. It's a bit like being the referee at a sports game. But instead of checking for fouls, they're checking the deceased's assets and making sure everything is done legally. Probate can be a long and sometimes costly process. The court will help figure out who gets what, pay off any debts your parents owe, and even make sure any taxes are settled. Sounds fun, right? But seriously, probate isn't all doom and gloom. It just takes time and patience. And yes, it means you won't get immediate access to your parents' assets right away. Now let's talk about the real question. Can you just walk in, pay off debts and claim the house, the car, the bank accounts and the rest of it? Well, not exactly. Even though you may feel like you should get immediate access, that's usually not how it works. You see, all assets need to be accounted for and the debts need to be paid before you can legally distribute the property. If you've got a mortgage, credit card debt, or medical bills, these need to be settled first. Only then can you begin divvying up the assets among the heirs. And no, I'm not suggesting you go ahead and make the decision to take the car for yourself just because it's in the driveway. Trust me, that's a legal headache you don't want. Alright, so what do you do first? Well, you need to take a few key steps to get the process started properly. Here's what you should do immediately after your parents' death if there's no trust in place. Get the death certificate. You'll need to get certified copies of the death certificate. Why? Because you'll need them to notify banks, insurance companies, creditors and the court. Notify the creditors and financial institutions. Start notifying credit card companies, banks and any financial institutions where your parents had accounts. If there's a will, you'll want to begin following its instructions too. But here's a pro tip. Always double check with an attorney for legal guidance here. Find the will. The next step is finding the will. A will, if it exists, will outline how your parent wanted their estate distributed. If there's no will, the estate will go through intestate succession, meaning the state will decide who gets what. Appoint a personal representative executor. You might need to appoint an executor if one hasn't been named already. This person will handle the estate, making sure everything is sorted out and distributed properly. If no one is willing, you can apply for someone to be appointed by the court. Now, let's talk about the part no one really wants to deal with, paying debts and taxes. So, before you can think about who gets the family heirloom jewelry or the beach house, you've got to settle the debts. Here's the deal. All of the deceased person's outstanding debts, whether it's mortgages, credit card bills, loans or taxes, need to be paid out of the estate before any assets can be distributed to the heirs. It's not fun, I know, but think of it this way. Getting rid of debts before you get your inheritance means no surprise bills coming your way later. Now that the debts are sorted, it's time to talk about dividing the assets. If there's a will in place, it will provide a clear roadmap on how the assets should be divided up. But if there's no will, guess what? The state steps in and determines who gets what according to the state's laws. In most states, the surviving spouse will typically get a share and the rest will be divided between the children. If there's no surviving spouse, the children might inherit the entire estate. Here's a big question. Do you need a lawyer to handle all this? Well, technically, you can do this on your own, but many people choose to hire an attorney to help navigate the complexities of probate and estate law. Especially if the estate is large or complicated, having a lawyer on your side can really ease the process. Think of them as your legal life raft in this sea of paperwork and taxes. Okay, so what if you don't want to deal with probate at all? Well, some people choose to set up a living trust while they're alive to avoid probate. But since your parents didn't have one, this isn't an option for you right now. Still, it's something you might want to consider for your own estate planning. Trust me, when you're dealing with all this paperwork, you'll wish your parents had set up that living trust. So be proactive in your own planning. So to recap, when your parents die without a trust, you can't just waltz in, pay off their debts and take possession of everything. It's a legal process and it's important to follow the steps to ensure you're doing everything correctly. Handling an estate can be a stressful and emotional process, but by knowing what to expect, you can navigate it more confidently and efficiently. And if you need help, don't hesitate to reach out to a professional. This is one of those times when it's okay to ask for help. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need this info. Sharing is caring, right? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.